Hi, everyone, and welcome to December 31st, 2019. We're at the turn of a century. It's so exciting. I don't know about you, but we're pumped and we're ready for 2020. We're actually thrilled to go into 2020. So you guys, today we are going to be talking about something extremely important. In fact, something so important
that it just might change your life.
Exactly.
In fact, it should change your life. So be sure to pay attention. Maybe even take out a little notepad and a pen and pencil. Take some notes. It's going to be simple, but it's going to be so fundamental and so crucial to your today, your tomorrow, and your retirement that you will want to be paying very, very close attention.
Absolutely. All right, so let's dive in, guys. Today, I want to talk about something that's really close to heart, something that should be close to your heart. I was having a conversation with a family friend yesterday, and it actually broke my heart what I heard. And essentially what I heard is it's not the first time I hear it. It's actually all around us. It might be your situation. It might be your parents' situation. Who knows? But this is what basically came out of the conversation yesterday. So I have a friend who is a family friend, and they're very close to their retirement. In fact, it's just a couple years away. And a couple of weeks ago, this person woke up and realized that they didn't have enough money for retirement. Now, that's devastating for me to hear because I love them, but also devastating for them knowing they don't have a lot of years to basically put into this retirement plan because they weren't taught, they didn't know. And so we're going to go down into this financial realm with you, and we're going to break it down simply so that you understand what it takes to actually put some money into a retirement account and actually have some type of retirement when it comes the time.
Because it's not 3 years or even 10 years before retirement, ideally, that you want to start thinking about it and putting a plan. Because as we're going to talk about, it takes a strategy, it takes a plan, it takes time, and it takes the right vehicle to get you there. And so we want to make sure that we're giving you all the tools, and hopefully we're catching you early enough. Hopefully it's not too late for you. As dark as that may sound, we want to help as much as possible. And the best time to plant a tree is, well, 50 years ago, right? But the second best time is today, is ASAP, because you want to give it as much time and nurture and water and miracle grow so that tree can actually feed you in your retirement.
So for those of you millennials that think this does not apply to you, heck, this applies to you even more so.
Yeah, it's insane how much potential is available to you millennials who never think about the 50 years away. It's not too far. Believe me, if you just listen to what we have to say here, you are going to line yourself up to be amongst the ultra rich.
So let's take a complicated subject, what most people deem complicated, the financial world, okay? And let's break it down for you. And you need to understand this. We're going to break it down simply so that you can apply it, applied knowledge. Now, just getting the information is not enough. There's a bunch of information out there. You have to take it and apply it, and that's what we're going to teach you today.
So let's get started.
Yes, let's get started. Perfect. So there's this quote that I really like, and it says, don't expect to finance your retirement with 10% of your income. If you're only working 30 years, don't expect to finance a 30-year retirement with 10% of your income.
Yeah, it said otherwise. If you work for 30 years and keep 10% of everything you make and put it aside for your retirement, well, you can't expect that is enough to then retire and live off that for 30 more years. It's not 10% saved up for 30 years that's going to allow you to live a full retirement for 30 years. Like, that just doesn't add up.
Yeah. So let's just go back a little bit in history. I want you to understand where all this is coming from. It's important. All right. So back in the day, we're talking my great-grandfather, my grandfather's age, people weren't living that long. So even before that, the life expectancy has been going up dramatically. So back in the day, the companies were expecting their employees to basically retire, and then a couple of years later, usually 1 to 5 years after retirement, people were dying. Now today, life expectancy is almost 90 years old, and it's just increasing because of medicine, right? Everything's just becoming better and better. So life expectancy today and life expectancy in 25 years will most likely be close to 100. That's what they're expecting. Now, what happened was, again, just a little bit of history so that you understand, okay? Pension plans, Social Security, or old age, has not been around forever. They were developed in a crisis situation, notably called the Great Depression in the 30s, okay? It was developed to help people get through retirement. Okay, again, grandfather, great-grandfather's time. So again, just to give you a little bit of context, and I have some notes here for you so I don't say these numbers out of the blue, but in the US, Social Security was actually founded or established in 1935, and the first payment was given to a lady in 1940. In Canada, the first public pension plan was established in 1927, but the first payment of that pension plan was given in 1952. Okay, so that's Social Security. Now, they also established in the same time period pension plans for employees. That did not exist before the 1930s. So the pension plan in the US, the actual pension plan, was established in 1921, and the Canadian pension plan, the CPP as we know it, was established in 1965. Okay, so that has not been around for very long. Now, why is this important? All right. Back in the day, our grandparents or great-grandparents, they were committing themselves to a company for X number of years, usually 30, 35 years. And the company, in exchange for that service, was promising them a pension plan. And usually what happened was people retired at the age of 65, and then 3 years later, they would die. So the company would essentially pay 3 years of pension plan, when the employee actually contributed for 35 years, contributing their time to that company.
The employer.
To the employer. So
and
now,
so that we call a defined benefits pension plan, where on the way in, you knew what you were going to get on the way out. And that was the employer's responsibility to hold up their end of the bargain once you retired, and you knew exactly how much you were going to retire with.
So again, employee put in some time into a company in exchange for a pension plan, okay, defined benefits. Now, fast forward a couple of years later, what happened was life expectancy. That's where that comes in, and that's why it's so important. Life expectancy is longer. What the companies were starting to see was that employees that worked for them 35 years were now sometimes outliving, in retirement years, the number of years that they actually worked in the workforce. So it wasn't uncommon for employees, once hitting retirement, they would go beyond the 30 years of service in retirement. So somebody retires at 65, and at 95, they're still alive. Companies had to pay into their pension plans and continue paying their employees, because that was the defined benefits plan. As long as you live after retirement, thank you for your service, we'll pay you for your retirement. Now you can understand that when the lifespan goes up and you've only contributed for 35 years as a worker, and now you're alive for another 35 years, those companies had no money left. So some companies actually went bankrupt, which created a big crisis. And so in 1974, in the US, they came up with this law. So these companies went to the government and said, we can no longer promise employees to pay into their pension plans because we're going bankrupt. Okay, so that's what happened. So big story to say that in 1974 in the US, they said, that's it, we cannot contribute to pension plans anymore because we are going to go bankrupt. So what did the government do? They created this law. And that's when the RSPs of this world, or the IRA accounts, the 401ks, that's when really that started really acting up, right?
It shifted the responsibility from the employers financing their employees' retirements, and shifted it to now the employees have to finance their retirement.
Exactly. So exactly what happened in 1974, when everything went downhill from there, they put the responsibility from the companies who had financial advisors, who had knowledgeable people that knew what to do with pension plans, to you, the worker. Okay, and to this day, that's how that works. And that's called contribution benefits. So it went from the defined benefits, aka pension plan, to contribution benefits, aka RSP accounts,
which we also call
IRA accounts.
Defined contribution. From defined benefits to defined contribution. So now you don't know what you're going to get on the way out. You know what you're going to have to put in and then you know what's going to happen based on the money that you put in. If you put in this amount, then the employer will do this or that.
Okay, so just to make this very simple, okay, you are now responsible for your retirement account. You, who may or may not know anything about the financial industry, is now responsible for your retirement. Now, what happened was the government said, okay, let's help these employees and we'll implement group benefit plans. So now what we see in the private sector is that, first of all, employers, companies, are no longer required to have a pension plan available for their employees. So that's number one. Certainly not mandatory for them to pay for your retirement. So what they said was, okay, if companies want to help their employees contribute to their pensions, then let's establish a group plan. That's where you have the group RSP plans or the group 401ks, okay? Now, all that is nice and dandy, but the thing is, you don't have to contribute to it. They don't force you to get into those plans for the most part. And so if you don't contribute to those plans, well, your company sure does not have to contribute to your future, okay? So some companies, first of all, have no group benefits whatsoever. So it's really, you're 100% on your own. Some companies do offer group benefits. If you contribute to your group benefit, the employer, your company, will match, some programs are like that, some employers will match a certain amount every year that you put in. But guess what, guys? If you put $0 into that account, how much do you think your company will put in? Big fat zero, okay? So if you don't think about putting your money into that account, your employer will sure as hell won't put any money in yours. So what's that doing for you? Every single year, year after year, you're putting $0 into an account for your retirement. And your employer, your company, does not have to do anything. Okay, so 100% is on you. I hope that's understandable, and I hope that's clear, because this is really freaking, that's where people get bogged down, is first, they don't understand, you know, all of this, everything we're talking about. They don't understand the implications that brings. But let me tell you what the implication is. If you put $0 in your account today, if you put zero account in your dollar account, if you put $0 in your account tomorrow, you're going to have no retirement.
So first of all, on a scale to 1 to 10 in terms of importance, this is a 9, if not a 10. Okay. If you want anything else for your retirement than your baseline old age pension, if you're in Canada, the Canada pension plan, if you want anything above that and you do nothing, you're dreaming. It's not going to happen. Right? If you want a quality retirement, if you want to make more money in your retirement than you're making right now, right? If you think that's impossible, start changing yourself, start educating yourself. Because why would you live an entire lifetime to make less when you're finished, when you're at the end of your life? That just doesn't make sense. Why would you work for 20, 30, 40, whatever amount of years you want to work in your life? Why would you work for that much time with the goal of living at the poverty line?
And guys, just keep in mind that when those pension plans and security plans were created back in the 30s, it was to support the poor, okay? It was never meant to, the Social Security was never meant to actually make you a living.
It's not
okay?
a plan.
It's not a plan.
It's a safety net.
It's a safety net, but it's so minimal, that you can barely live on that. I mean, Social Security in Michigan is less than $600 a month. So, I mean, okay, so let's look at it this way. The other thing that's shocking, okay, again, a little bit of history before we actually deep dive into a little bit more of the financial world, is our grandparents, our parents, were of the era that we call baby boomers, right? So they're actually right now exiting the workforce, okay? So they're on their way to retirement. And I think it was a statistic in 2017 that said that there was 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day, okay? So that's insane. Now, when all these plans were created back in the 30s and they were starting to be paid out in the 40s and 50s and 60s, now in the 1950s, there was 16 workers for one retiree. Okay, so that's not bad. So there was definitely workers to contribute to the retiree. Now, fast forward that to today, and our rate of anyways, you understand, went down. We're not, making babies like we used to. Now there's 2.9 workers for every one retiree. Do you think, in a sane mind, do you think that that is sustainable? And so if you think that Social Security or, the Canadian old age is going to be around for that long, I mean, we don't know for sure, but seeing the statistics and what's going on, I wouldn't bank my life on it. That's as simple as that. So I hope that all this has somewhat cleared up and basically gave you a clear picture of what we're going to talk next. And what we're going to talk about next is stop having your head in the sand and stop thinking that all of this is freaking difficult, that you can't do it. Because if that's what you're going to be going into 2020 with, then I don't know what to tell you, but you're going to be screwed. Okay. I mean, I'm being honest here, because from the bottom of our hearts, we want to elevate the financial education of people around us because it's so goddamn important. Okay. It's what it is.
It has nothing to do with being greedy. It has nothing to do with making money at someone else's expense. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with what you want in your life and what actions you're going to take to go get the future that you want and that ultimately you deserve. And if you do nothing, you will get caught by the safety net. If that's your plan, continue doing nothing. That's exactly what you're going to get. If you want something different, you're going to have to do something different. You're going to have to act differently and ultimately act like those who are getting the results that you want. It's as simple as that.
So it's not, it's pretty obvious. The rich are getting richer because the rich understand money and they teach their kids, and the poor and middle class are getting poorer and poorer. And if you keep your head in the sand, then you're it's exactly what's happening to the poor and the middle class. They're getting poorer and poorer because they're not doing anything about it when there's a problem. And if you're not trying to solve it, then, good luck to you. Now, there is a way to understand all of this, and right now we're going to break it down in simple steps. So we're going to talk about interest rates, okay? So interest rates, what is that? According to Albert Einstein, because I like the quote, he says it's the 8th wonder of the world. Now, he's talking here about compound interest. And compound interest, for those who understand it, earn it. For those who don't, lose it, basically. Pay it, right. And so what's compound interest, and what's that big word, and what does it mean? And yeah, tell me, Kyle, what does compound interest mean in simple terms?
It's making babies. All right, that's what it is.
Well, let's see. Money making babies.
No, it's making babies. And then, so imagine, what does the perfect employee look like? All right, if you were to define what the perfect employee was in terms of characteristics, habits, would a perfect employee ask for vacation? The perfect employee? No. Would the perfect employee only work 8 hours a day? No, they'd work 24 hours a day. Would a perfect employee ask for pee breaks? No. Would a perfect employee even have would you have to contribute to their retirement plan, their pension plan? Would you have that expense on your back? No. So you want to find a way to get as many of these perfect employees as you can. And once you find them, you want to make sure that it finds more of those perfect employees, right? So if you find one of those perfect employees and then you find another one of those perfect employees and then you force them, because they're perfect, you force them to make another baby, like you force them to make a baby, which is also going to be a new employee, right? So now you have a baby employee. And then as they grow up, they're going to make more babies, and you force them to make more and more babies. So you have this army of baby employees and adult employees and senior employees, right? And everybody's just, this huge incest pool is happening, right? So, but ultimately, this would be a technique to grow an enormous
company.
Perfect employee-based company, right? Wouldn't that be awesome, right? No, it wouldn't, because we're thinking about humans. But if you think of each one of those employees that I was talking about as $1 or $100 bill or $1,000 or $100,000, if you consider your money and each dollar that you invest as an employee, it's actually a perfect employee. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't eat, it doesn't complain, doesn't go to the bathroom, doesn't ask for vacation, and you can force it to make babies. You can force that dollar to make 10 cents a year. And that 10 cents a year, you can force it to make more, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. So that is what compounding is. It's the fact that an investment is earning you a return, and that return is also invested, earning you a return, and that return is earning a return, and it just goes on and on and on forever, and it stacks.
So to say this simply, compound interest is money, your money making money, who's making money, making money. Okay, so it's money making money.
And
okay?
Over time, at a decent interest rate, it is explosive. Oh, I should do it like this if you're going to look at me. It is an explosive increase. Yes. Explosive. This is not additive mathematics. This is not multiplicative mathematics. This is exponential mathematics. And the difference is
huge.
Huge. Huge.
And so why are we telling you all of this is because there's a lot of information out there and a lot of people are confused. A lot of people don't understand. And let me tell you this, a confused mind always says no. A confused mind does not know the next step, and they won't take it because it seems too complicated. It seems like it's too much of a big mountain to climb. So we're breaking this down, okay? Again, we're going to go back to interest rates, and we're going to talk about why it is so important. All right, so let me just see here. Yeah, okay. I'm going to share my screen with you. We made a little graph so that you would understand visibly what this is all about. Okay, right here. Okay, so these are numbers that I took not too long ago, a couple days ago actually, from a Canadian bank. So if you're in the US, you can look up any Bank of America rates, but in Canada, these are what it is, and in the US, it's very similar. So if we look at a savings account, so this is literally you're taking your money and you're putting the money in a savings account. The bank is happily paying you 0.2%. Okay, so that's 0.2% to put your money in a savings account. Now, why would the bank actually pay you for you to put your money in the bank?
Yeah, why would they lose money? Why would they do that to you? Why would they give you 0.2% at all?
Well, we'll tell you why. You'll understand. You put your money in the bank. That means your money is in their institution. The bank gathers all the money they have in the bank, and they turn around and they say, I have X dollars of savings account, or X dollars of money in our bank. And what they do with it, they actually turn around and they basically lend you that money on a credit card or on a mortgage or on a car loan or whatever it is. They're in the business of making money. Okay? Lending money. Yes, making money too. And so they're happily giving you a 0.2% for the use of your money. That's basically what's going on. So you put your money in a savings account, 0.2%, that's what they're giving you right now, but they're turning around and they can lend out your money at 18% on a credit card. And so they're making 17.8% on your money, for instance. So yay, all right, 0.2%. If you put your money in an RSP or a GIC, for instance, here, the equivalent in the US would be a IRA account. When we talk about redeemable versus non-redeemable, redeemable means that you put your money in an RSP and you can always go get it back. There's fees and penalties for that, of course, but it's an open RSP, okay? So you can go get it, which means that the bank is more at risk of losing your money, okay? Because you can always redeem it. So for that, they're offering you a 0.6% return on your money, okay? Now, let's go to an RSP or a IRA account that is a 5-year non-redeemable. So that means that you cannot touch that money.
It's locked in for 5 years.
Okay. So for that, they're giving you in Canada 2.1%.
Better
Better.
But terrible.
Terrible. And we'll explain why it's terrible. Do you remember your grandfather saying that they were working at 10 cents an hour back in the day? Mine was a delivery man, and he was delivering milk to the people in his community. And so he was being paid 10 cents an hour to do that. Now, today, almost 2020, 10 cents, what's 10 cents? What can you buy with 10 cents? I don't even think you can buy like 3 candies with 10 cents. I mean, it's ridiculous. But back then, 70, 80 years ago, I mean, 10 cents was a lot of money. It wasn't rich by any stretch of the imagination, but it was, you know, enough to live, you know, an okay life, right? With a few kids. So what does that mean? And why am I saying that? It's because the money yesterday and the money today is not the same value. Money today is worth more than money yesterday. All right. So my grandfather's 10 cents today is not much. And why is that? The reason why, and it's called inflation. Okay. So every year, have you noticed that the gas is going up? That food we're buying is actually going up? Hopefully your paycheck is going up. Hopefully you're getting some kind of augmentation on your salary. Hopefully that's the case. Now, there's a thing called inflation. So every year these prices go up. And so hopefully your salary goes up too. On average in Canada and the US, we're looking at about a 2 to 3% inflation rate every year. So every year, we'll take 3%, for example, every year cost of living is increasing by 3%. So that's why the 10 cents of yesterday is, you know, a lot more today. If we look at these numbers here on my chart, you can understand that if you put your money in a savings account for 30 years or 20 years or whatever it is, and they're paying you 0.2%, when inflation is 3%, make the math with me. You don't need to be a genius to understand that you are effectively and safely losing money. Anything where you're putting your money in anything but, you know, under a 3% return on investment, you are safely and effectively losing money.
Yeah. Because every year, if the inflation rate is say 3%, every year you are losing 3% of your buying power of money you previously have or you currently have in the bank. Right. Next year, you will have 3% less buying power. So if that money that's in the account isn't earning at least 3, it's not keeping up with inflation, and you're not even keeping the buying power that you have. That's the 3%. That's the critical consideration that you have to keep in mind when you're talking about inflation and returns on your money.
And so what frustrates me the most is when I see a commercial on TV, on radio, on the internet that says, you know, that a bank will be actually paying you like 2.5%, super rate, boom, 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 with stars and balloons. We're going to be paying 2.5%. It's a great savings account. It's a great RSP, a great IRA account. And then, I mean, not only is that a very bad rate because it's not keeping up with inflation, but if you read just the tiny print at the bottom of the screen, then it says for 6 months. Then it reverts back to $1 to 1.25% or whatever it is. I mean, it frustrates me so much. And what frustrates me even more is that people are gullible enough. People are not understanding what's happening here. They don't understand what is going on. And they're certainly not understanding what will happen to them when retirement comes. Because banks are literally laughing in our face, literally. And why would they pay you more interest rate on your money if they don't have to? People are not demanding it. So a 2.1% return on a 5-year non-redeemable RSP or IRA account, people are willing to put their money at that percentage. The banks would be crazy to say, well, I'll give you 10%, you know?
And just so you know, just quick statistic, banks on average, with your money that you deposit into their accounts, make on average somewhere between 20 and 30% per year. That's what they make, right? So why can't you tap into higher return? I mean, 0.2%, 0.6% is a joke. 2% is a joke. 4% is a joke. So just know that there are other ways. That's first. Step one is awareness. Okay, you might be at that step. Become aware. Know that the 3% is the bare minimum to just not be losing every year what you've previously earned.
Absolutely. So let's talk of alternatives, okay? Just because and for those of you who don't know us, we're Janie and Kyle, and we invest in real estate, and we invest in real estate as Canadians in the US. Now, the Canadian average, when you invest in real estate in Canada, the average return on an investment property, you're looking at about 4% returns, okay? In the US, it's almost double. So depending on the market you're in, you're looking at about an 8% average. Can be a little less if you're in hotter markets, and it could be more if you're in another market. And I mean, we're good at what we do, and so there's other companies out there that are willing to help people by giving them a higher return on their money. So again, this is just an example, but a real estate company that invests in, say, properties that are giving a 15% return on their money, well, they can turn around, and instead of keeping all that money for themselves, they can literally ask someone to come in and become the bank, and then they are paid, a good fee. So now they become the bank. They're in the position of the bank, where if the bank here, say in Canada, are giving you 2% or 0.2% on a savings account, then all of a sudden you're in that same position. So it's really cool. But now let's break it down, and I want you to see numbers of what this looks like. Because percentage, a lot of people don't understand percentage, so we'll break it down for you. So if we take an investment, say of $100,000, and it's invested in any of those vehicles that we talked about, okay? And this is interest paid after 1 year, so after year one. If you put $100,000 into an investment, into a savings account, at 0.2%, you're looking to get $200 at the end of that first year.
A whopping $200. You forgot the adjective.
If you're putting your money into an RSP at 0.6%, then at the end of the year, that $100,000 will have made you $600. Whopping $600. We move on. RSP 5 years at 2.1%. It's getting better, $2,100 on that $100,000. Again, here we're comparing apples to apples. It's the same 100,000, okay? Real estate in Canada, about 4,000 US. Real estate, the average is about 8,000. And alternatives, you're looking at about $10,000 because it's a 10% return on your money. Now, a lot of people, we're going to talk a little bit about risk, okay? Because a lot of people have the misconception that the higher the interest rate, the higher the risk. Now, where do you think that comes from? Wild guess? The institutions, right? I mean, the institutions are telling you that if you put your money in a savings account, it's safe. Well, of course it's safe. You're safely losing money every month, right? Every year. Institutions that create these laws, that create the brouhaha, I don't know what to call it, but like anyways, they're telling you what to think because they can. And so obviously they relate risk and certain activities, and it's not all true, but there's definitely alternatives. And the more you learn and the more you know about these things, you can see that risk does not necessarily, mix 100% with high interest rates. It's not necessarily a direct correlation.
Yeah, and in fact, Janie and I wrote 2 books on the topic.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't looked at that, by all means, just ask, and we send them to anyone who is interested, still willing and able to learn. Yep. And to at least care enough about their financial future, we give them away. So if you're interested, by all means. But the difference between $200 a year and $10,000 is 50. Okay, it's a 50 times factor. That's just in the first year. Okay, that's not even including any compounding that's going to happen in year 2, year 3, year 5, year 10, year 20. Right, but in the first year, the difference is 50. So you can either choose to invest, say let's say you had $100,000 and you're 20 years old and you put it in the savings account. 50 years later, when you're 70, okay, you're going to have earned $10,000 on that 100. Or you can have, let's say the same situation, you have $100,000 and you're 20 years old. In 1 year, you will have earned what the savings account would have earned you over 50 years. That's what that means. Do you want to live 1 year's worth, 1 lifetime's worth of interest by investing in a savings account? Or do you want to earn 50 years of interest for 50 years? Mm-hmm. That's 2,500 years equivalent of a savings account. Mm-hmm. Which one? It's your choice.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we made a little chart for you here so that you can understand. Remember that word compounding interest? Money, making money on your money, right? Every year. So if you were to take that same 100,000 on the previous slide, we talked about year one's interest paid out. Now, if we look at 20 years, so you took that $100,000, you invested in an account, and you kept it there, okay? And you kept also all the interest,
all the babies
in that same account. In 20 years, you'll see, a growth of your portfolio. Now, look at here. So savings account, if you were to put in $100,000 at 0.2% in a savings account, in 20 years time, you're looking at making $4,076.92.
A whopping $4,076.92, Janie.
Yes, that's right.
20 years.
Like, what do you think $4,000 will be worth in 20 years?
Better yet, what is $104,000 worth in 20 years?
Right, it'll be worth the 10 cents.
It'll be worth 10 cents.
Today.
Yeah, that's an exaggeration, but it will be worth considerably less than 100,000. Considerably less than what you actually put it in.
Absolutely. It's like my grandfather's story. Today's 10 cents is not the same as yesterday's 10 cents. 104,000 today might sound like a big number to you, but in 20 years time from now, 104,000 will be pocket change. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, if we move to another type of vehicle here, the RSP, the 3-year, that was at 0.6%, you're looking at a whopping 112,709. So you effectively made $12,000 on 100,000 in 20 years, pocket change again. A 5-year non-redeemable that was at 2.1%, an RSP or an IRA account, or even a 401k account, you're looking at about 151,000, so that's 51,000, so it's getting better. So you can see the correlation between the higher interest rate and the higher the growth of your investment. Okay, that's very important to understand. The higher the interest rates and the longer the years, the more money you'll make. Okay, that's the fundamentals. Let's move on to real estate in Canada, where the average was 4%. Okay, you're looking at doubling your money, so 219,000. The real estate in the US, about 8%, you're looking at 466,000. You quadrupled your money. And
just 2% higher, from 8 to 10%, just that little 2%.
It's incredible.
Makes over $200,000 difference.
Absolutely. So when you're looking at investing into an alternative vehicle, such as real estate, you're looking at, in this case, if you were investing at a 10% return on your money, you're looking at $672,000. It's incredible. That's the power of compound interest. And that's why Albert Einstein says it's the 8th wonder of the world. And those that understand it, earn it, and those who doesn't, lose it. Okay? So that's what that is. Now, ignoring the problem, okay, is not going to solve the solution. You're not going to, you need to face it and establish where you're at today. What is your financial situation today? And again, millennials, you're not out of this, okay? This is very, 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 very important for you, because guess what? Where Social Security and the old age pension were created for our grandfathers back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, that might not even be around for us when we're in our 70s and 80s, okay? The system is corrupt. It might not even be around. So don't rely on that. And it's again, to help the poor. So you need to put your head on and look at this and not think that it's extremely difficult, because it's not. We've broken down it very, very easy. The interest rate and time makes pressure, makes diamonds, okay? So time and pressure makes diamonds. And you don't have to start with a lot of money, okay? You don't, because that's the beauty of compounding. That's the beauty of the compound interest model, is when you put a little bit of money and you make a little bit of interest, And then that basically starts making some more interest and more interest. Every year it keeps adding and adding and adding. So you don't have to start from $100,000, $1,000 a year, anything. You need to start putting your money into a retirement account or in some sort of alternative vehicle to give you some money on your money.
Now, $1,000 a year, that sounds a little bit out of reach, Janie. Do you think everyone can do that?
Well, let's break it down. How much does a Starbucks coffee cost nowadays?
About $100.
That's because we don't drink coffee, as you can see, right? But I don't know, $5 or $6 or something at Starbucks.
It can go up to 10 if you're in New York.
In New York or even China, because they don't drink coffee much there. Anyways, so let's say $5, okay? $5, $6. How much is that in the month? Well, let's do some simple math. What's 5 times 30?
It's $150.
It's $150, guys. Okay. Because we know people that buy Starbucks coffee every single day. Now, what's 150 times 12?
1,800.
$1,800. That's more money in coffee. So for people that think that it's unattainable, why don't you cut down on your coffee consumption, maybe 3 times a week?
Or did you know that the average household in North America spends $1,000 a year in lottery?
Now you can understand that, and those are statistics from the US. So the Powerball, for example, that you have one chance, like 278 million, to actually win the lottery. You have actually a lot more chances of getting hit by a lightning bolt, but it is what it is.
Multiple times in repetition.
Times over, yes, that's right. And so when the average household in America put in $1,000, $500 to $1,000 in lottery tickets a year, what do you think that $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year would be worth in 20, 25, 35, 40 years from now?
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And this is money that you are giving to lottery companies. And what are you doing? When you're investing, bad word, but you have to be thinking it as an investment, because why would you do it otherwise? Why would you give someone give money to lottery knowing that you're going to lose? You're obviously not going with that mentality. So you're saying, well, I'm investing in a chance to do it. But
chance to win, yeah.
A chance to win. I'll tell you what you're investing in. You're investing in a dream. Okay? That's what you're hoping for. It is by no means a plan. And for 99 point, God knows how many nines after of people, that is a plan that will not work. And so it's not a plan. It is a waste of capital that we've just explained to you how it could be used to actually, and for real, be hundreds of thousands of dollars for your retirement. It's not a gamble. It's not an if. It's not a dream. If you divert these unnecessary spendings, whether it be lottery or daily coffees at Starbucks, whatever your excess spending and luxury or bad spending is, if that is just diverted, I'm not asking you to spend more, to invest more. I'm just telling you to spend more wisely. And just that little change can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars in your retirement. Could mean the difference between retiring at 65 and retiring at 61. What is 4 years of your life worth to you? Is it worth a coffee? 3 less coffees a week? To get 4 more years on the other side? Just as an example. Is that worth it for you? If it is, then start immediately.
The number one fear of baby boomers today is that they will outlive their retirement savings.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. And our generation, the X and the millennial generation, we're going to be even worse off, because baby boomers, for the most part, or for some part of their working life, did get some kind of pension plan distributed to them. But us, there's nothing anymore. If you're not working for the government, and even the government started cutting down on the benefits and whatnot, but if you're working in the private sector, most likely you are not contributing to a pension plan. And so you have to get your head out of the sand and actually do something about it. And it's not difficult. You just need to know where to look. And so there's three things that we're going to talk about today. And again, this is coming from a place of love. We don't come from families that are wealthy. We don't come from money. We come from, people that are hardworking, that they work all their life and who unfortunately, may have a hard time in retirement. And so this is coming from a place of love again, and we want to help you out. And so what we decided to do is in 2020, we want to help as many people achieve some kind of financial security, if not financial independence, because it's possible when you know what you're doing. Don't listen to the big institutions that are telling you, that 2% is amazing. 2% is crap, okay? Because it's not even keeping up with inflation like we discussed. So you need to understand that there's ways around this. You just need to get a little bit more educated. And that's what they bank on, these institutions, is they think people are stupid. People don't know. And rightfully so, people are confused because there's so much information out there. A lot of these institutions telling people that the higher interest rate equals risk. Well, do you think that people want to put their money at risk? Of course they don't. So when we talk about 10%, for example, or 8%, people freak out because they think that there's like 100% chance they'll lose their money. Oh, hold on. Our dog just tried to come in. Okay. All right. So I mean, rightfully so. They confuse people to their advantage because people don't know and people don't understand. And so when people are confused, what did I say earlier? A confused mind says no. So when people approach you with an 8% return on your money, the first thing that people say is, hell no, this is way too risky. When in the case, when you understand what you're doing, like most wealthy people do, they know what they're doing. And so they know which vehicles their money can go in that will give you somewhat of a secured investment, then they're out there, guys. It's just that we don't know. I mean, people don't know. People don't know, and they're not educated. Okay? So there's three things that you can do today. The first one, of course, is do nothing. And that, my friend, you will bleed to death because you have to stop the bleeding. If you are not investing in a retirement plan today, if you're not planning for your future, if you're not protecting your assets, and by that I mean very basic life insurance, putting some money aside for emergencies. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. If you are bleeding, okay? So first you need to put some pressure on that bleeding and you need to make that stop, number one, okay? So you can do nothing and that's your choice. Don't recommend it, of course, but hey, I'm not gonna force you to do anything you don't want to do.
If your plan is to do nothing, know that the result will be to be caught by a safety net that may or may not be there.
Yeah.
Okay, so just know that. That is a decision that you're making, and that is the plan that you've selected for yourself, your life, your family. If you don't already have a family, you're planning on having a family, growing a family, that is the situation, financial and emotional and situational, that you have chosen for your family as well. So it goes beyond you.
And let me tell you this, you cannot unlearn what you've learned, okay? So what we've taught you today, if you decide to do nothing about it, you are consciously making the choice to not do anything about it. And it's not because you don't know what's going on here. You're deciding to put your head in the sand consciously, and that, my friends, that's the worst thing you can do for yourself. But if that's what you want to do, like Kyle said, you are making that decision consciously for yourself, for your family, for your future. And best of luck to you.
And it's hard to hear. I get it. Okay, we're not offending. That's not the point. It is to make you hurt a little bit. Okay, but just to wake you up. That's it. Right? Because this is very real. There's nothing more real than this. And you don't want to get this wake up call in 20 years or when you're 5 years away from your retirement. Like
I was telling you, our family friend.
You do not want to be in that situation. You don't want anybody that you care about to be in that situation. And that's why we're here. That's why I'm having goosebumps just saying that right now. You do not want this conversation or that conversation to be in your life ever, because it's so painful. It hurts so much.
Second option, Okay, there's people out there. There's obviously, we talked about a few different ways to make money on your money. Okay, so there's a few avenues. There's definitely the banks. Okay, in Canada, there's 5 big banks, and there's other institutions that take care of money that most people don't know exist, but they exist and they're legal. Okay, it's just that big banks are established and they have, real estate. They have people working in them and they're accessible. They're at every corner of, a major city.
They've got credibility.
And they've got credibility, of course. But they can't offer you more, one, because they don't have to, and two, because they have to pay for their mortgage. They have to pay for their employees. They have to pay for their heating, which means they have a lot of costs involved, right? So yes, you can go to the bank and you can go sit down. It's better than nothing, okay? You can go to the bank and say, I want to invest my money in an RSP account or in a GIC or in an IRA account. Okay, you can do that. So that's open to everyone. Just know that if you go to a bank, they won't give you the best rates. It's actually what we discussed today. It's under inflation rate, which unfortunately will make you lose money, but it's better than doing nothing.
Can I actually say just one little tidbit on RSPs? So the RSPs, if you're unfamiliar with what it is, educate yourself in that. It is the very first step, and just understanding how retirement and future value of money works. Just educate yourself on that. 10 years ago, I didn't even know what that was, okay? And so it's not your fault if you don't know what it is. Just know that's not your fault. You weren't made aware, and now you're aware. Everyone's happy. The biggest advantage with our RSPs is not the interest rate. It's not the 0.6 or the 2.1% they give you, because that's crap. The biggest advantage is the tax break, right? Especially if you're in a province or state where taxes are higher. I think Canada and Quebec is really significant for this. But you can, just by investing, say, $100,000 in your RSP, if you made nice salaries, let's say just for round numbers because we've been using that number, you could get back basically a third of that, maybe even a little bit more, immediate, insta baby. You don't have to wait the 9 months of pregnancy, right? You instantly get a baby at tax return. And that, say, $33,000 that you get back, that $33,000, you can put that to work immediately. So you're getting a return, and those babies can go to work as well. That's where the power of the RSPs are, not in the 2%, not in the 0.6%.
However, there are better vehicles out there, okay? So RSPs are great. Like Kyle mentioned, the government actually has programs to make RSPs work for you. Now, most people don't know they exist, so most people don't take care and don't take advantage of the situation. But yes, absolutely, 100% right. And so you can go to the bank and you can get an RSP. Close your eyes, go any bank, RSP, you'll get an RSP usually around the 2% range. There's other people out there, so other financial institutions that actually invest your money into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, like an RSP basically, and will do so for a little higher rate. And the reason why they're able to give you a little bit more higher rate, for the most part, again, we're oversimplifying this, is because they don't have the big boxed institutions to care for. So their employees are working from home. They have, say, one headquarter somewhere, and then they're able to invest your money at a higher rate and give you, they're able to invest your money and give you a higher rate because they don't have all these expenses. Okay, so there's different companies out there. Personally, Kyle and I interviewed many what we so-called financial planners or financial coaches, and that's also an industry, guys. People, they're not stupid. They know that people don't understand what they're doing. And so if you go see Joe Blow that works for XYZ company and you expect Joe Blow to actually know what they're doing, then chances are they may, but chances are they may not. And you as a consumer will not know what's good or bad because you don't know. And so you're trusting someone that may or may not be good. You may trust a company that you may or may not know what they're doing, how many fees they're charging. So, we're good. We're good at this. And Kyle even, he did an extra step. He actually went to
incognito ninja
yes.
style. I actually went into one of these companies that we were vetting and interviewing and really seeing if their core values were aligned with ours and our goals. And everyone we surrounded, we care about. I went in and actually took their trainings, took their tests, went all the way up to certification within their company to find that.
And within the state or within, Canada.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so now we have a trusted partner. And how awesome would it be for you to bypass all of that? I don't want to say bypass due diligence, but we've gone through it and they meet our standards. So at least that's a point of reference for you, hopefully. And then you can go ahead and do your own on top of that. But at least, skip through all of the ones that we saw previously that were crap. And now we're confident and comfortable and extremely pleased with what we have there. Well, wouldn't that be a huge time saver for you to at least start there and expand?
And guys, again, this is coming from the bottom of our hearts. We're not advertising, or we're not making money out of this. This is us genuinely caring for your well-being, for the well-being of people around us, because if we don't talk about it, if people like us don't talk about it, you'll never know. And you'll wake up at 65 with nothing, okay? That's literally what's going to happen. And so with our company, yes, we invest in real estate, but essentially at our core, we wanted financial independence, and we want that for people around us. And so we want to create this movement where we can all help each other to elevate our financial education, our financial well-being, because quite frankly, there's enough money in this world for everyone. So we're not greedy. We're not going to be keeping all that knowledge for ourselves when we know that people around us are suffering. That would not make us sleep well at night. So we went above and beyond, like Kyle said, we went above and beyond, and we interviewed a lot of people, a lot of companies. And we wanted to find a company that aligned with our values, and that really not only gave great rates of returns, because as we said, a 2% rate is crap, something, that's a little bit better than that, but also has at its core, what we value, which is integrity and honesty. Okay. And so we found that person, and we found that team, and we found that company. If you're in Canada, if you're in Quebec and Ontario, we have someone for you we can recommend right away. So just reach out. Our email, info@nowfortomorrow.club. But what are these people doing? What is this company going to help you with? They're actually helping the mainstream people, mainstream families, to establish a financial foundation. So we're talking here about making sure that you're insured properly, that you're investing your money at the right place, that you're saving taxes where you need to save them. And so, and also get you out of debt. So that's basically their mission, okay? And
also tapping into governmental programs and provincial programs that are there, you just don't know about them, that could mean thousands of dollars more in your pocket every year, not by working harder, not by doing anything more than having a conversation with someone who knows about those programs and can help you, hold your hand, and will literally sign you up to these programs which you're already eligible for, and you're just waiting for the money. You just don't know it's there.
And the beauty about what we're talking about here is, yes, you can go to see a financial planner, and there's a lot of companies out there, and it's your choice. But essentially what we like about who we can refer you to is that they're not only financial planners, but they're financial coaches. Now, these are not people that are going to tell you what to do with your money. They're actually going to recommend strategies and will explain to you so that you understand why they are doing what they want to do with you. And so besides, because I've been to a financial planner, I was quite alert about interest rates and whatnot, although, again, I don't come from a family with means. But at 18, I understood that if I put my money into an RSP account, again, equivalent of an IRA account, at a percentage interest, that money, by the time I'm 65, will have grown considerably. I didn't understand all of it, but I understood that I needed to put my money in an account like that. And so that's exactly what we're doing today. But I didn't understand why, and I didn't understand when I went to see these financial planners, what strategy they were using, and why was 0.9% good or bad. I didn't understand, and a lot of them don't teach, and they don't coach. And so you trust blindly because you kind of had no choice, and yet you don't know what you're getting into. So that's not better. So now you know that there's a path. And if you're in Canada, and more specifically, if you're in Quebec, Ontario, we have someone to recommend you. So again, we're not getting anything out of it, just from the bottom of our hearts. It's precious. Time is precious. Your money is going to be precious, and it's precious, to you in the future. So we definitely are looking forward to helping you. The third way.
Well, maybe just let me ask you this: how would you like to not only understand the strategies and how the money could work for you and the programs that you have available and so forth, not only understand, but also be understood? Because this person sits down with you one-on-one, will dig through your current situation, will extract all the numbers, everything you have right now. Some things you might not understand that you have right now. Some things that, that person, that's what they do, okay? They dig through this and they understand the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they can bring it all together and give you a third-party, unbiased opinion of your current situation, and contrast it with your goal, your retirement goal, or your 5-year goal, whatever goals that you have, or you'll set with him or her, and then establish the plan to get you from there to there to there to there to there. Because without a plan and without someone or a strategy to break it into those pieces, how can you reasonably and intelligently expect to reach it? So to understand and to be understood as a person, maybe you have a family, maybe you don't have a family, maybe you have a dog that you really care about, maybe you want to retire your parents, maybe you want to go back to school, maybe you want to send your kids to school. Whatever your situation is, it's extremely important in the goal setting process. So that's a person that doesn't just say, okay, you've got $50,000, let's see if we can do this with it. No, it's so much more holistic, it's so much more broad, because you are much more than just the amount that's currently in your savings account.
And honestly, just to continue that subject, if you walk into a bank and you say, okay, I want RSPs, they're going to ask you how much. And then you'll say, okay, $2,000, for example.
They're going to say, what's your risk tolerance? Well, I don't want it risky.
And then, what's your risk tolerance? They obviously will give you the least amount of interest rate. And then the other problem is that person at the bank doesn't necessarily understand the implications. They don't necessarily, they're employees themselves, okay? So they weren't taught and brought up, because honestly, I don't know about you, but we're in real estate, okay? I would not have went to someone that is doing poorly to teach us how to do real estate. Okay, back in the day when we started real estate, what we did was we went to find someone who was actually buying 1,000 doors a year, because that's what we want to do. So we actually went to get some coaching from someone who knows, what they're doing. So if you go to the bank and you speak to this nice lady at the bank, who's also an employee and probably does not understand what's going on and what the factors are, but more importantly, she does not understand your situation, and she won't be able, it's very hard for them to tell you how much you'll need, because it's not a holistic approach. You walk in, I want $2,000 in RSPs. They say, yes, sign here, and that's it. Now there's other ways, and that's not a holistic approach. That's not them taking care of everything in your life. Okay. So very important. There's different things out there. There's different types of people. There's different qualities of everything. If you're in Quebec, Ontario, and Canada, just reach out, okay? We'll 100% put you in contact with someone that we trust. And if you're in another province, if you're in the US, then just reach out anyways, and we'll do our best to put you in contact with good people.
Our network is very large, and it'd be our pleasure to take that extra step for you. With you.
And so that's number 2. Number 3 is there's alternatives, okay? Again, we're not soliciting here. This is just the facts. What we talked about, those are just facts of life. There are alternative vehicles. Okay, we invest in real estate. We invest in real estate as Canadians in the US. And we'll go even a step further than that. We invest in Ohio. Okay, why Ohio? Yeah, a lot of people wonder why. Well, first of all, there's different reasons why we invest in Ohio, but the main one, okay, let's just talk about the main one, is that the returns on our investment is a lot higher. And so we can, with the help of people around us we can buy real estate with other people's money, give them a generous return for the use of their money so that we can buy real estate. So let me put that again. We have people around us that have some money. So for this, you need some money. You can't just start with $1,000. You need some money somewhere that you're willing to invest or lend out to a real estate company for them to buy real estate. And so you become the bank. And that's the position you want to be in. You want to be a lender, because remember what we said earlier. Banks make on average 20 to 30% on your money, okay? Because they lend it out to a much higher percentage. Now, if we take your money, for example, and we invest it in a property and you become the bank, your money is secured by the real estate, by the property. So your money goes towards buying something physical, okay? It's a property. And so you get all and everything that the bank gets when they lend you money for a mortgage. So a mortgage and a promissory note, this doesn't have to be difficult, okay? All you have to know is that your money is backed up by the actual property.
And since we know how to buy real estate and we were trained by some of the very best in the world, especially as Canadians investing in the US, because we've got that specialized knowledge, we are able to tackle real estate at huge discounts. And if you don't know this, if you might be already in the world of investing, like stocks and bonds and GICs and RSPs and all that, you'll know that you can't buy every type of asset class at a discount. The price is the price. The market value is the market value. If you want to buy today, that's the price. It's very difficult in many asset classes to buy at a discount. But that's not the way real estate works. Real estate, you can buy a $100,000 property for $90,000, for $80,000, for $70,000, for $60,000.
But Kyle, how is that possible? How could we buy a piece of property that's worth 100, say at 70,000? How does that even happen? Because
we are giving a service to the seller. The seller, some sellers want to sell, some sellers need to sell.
Big difference.
Big difference.
We're after the people that need to sell.
Right. And
we want to help them.
We want to help them, exactly right. Because if they really need to sell, there's a reason, right?
What could be those reasons?
The reasons could be that they're maybe in debt, right? Maybe their debt load is just tremendously, and if they don't sell that property, liberate some funds, clear off some debt, they're going to go bankrupt, right? So by us buying their property, yes, at a significant discount, but by us buying that property and buying it quickly, because their balloon is up, like if they don't get the money in 2 weeks and 3 weeks, they're done, all right? And not everyone can act that fast. Not everyone has the ability to move that quickly in a real estate transaction. You can't, for example, go to a bank and ask for financing that takes 30 days to underwrite. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, 85-90% of investors out there are disqualified from helping that person.
That's right.
But not us. And
so debt is a problem. What about death? You know, a family member that passed away and they have a piece of property, and now the government are after them for taxes, and they owe taxes and whatnot. What about disease? In the US, most people go bankrupt because they don't have sufficient medical coverage. And so when something happens to them and they go in the hospital, they actually have to pay a huge sum of money. And that makes them, go into bankruptcy, basically. What about displacement? So people that have to move because of a job. There's a lot of reasons why people need to sell. And so like Kyle said, these people need to sell for a reason, and they're willing to sell at a discount because they have to. Something's happening and they need the money quickly. So these are not people that want to sell, people that need to sell. So that's what we do. We locate those people and we try as best as we can to help them out and create what we like to call a win-win situation for both. Something that we buy that the price is right for us, and so that the price is also right for them so that they can get out of their situation. And that's why we can do that. So we exchange dollars for rapidity.
Speed.
For speed, yeah.
Speed for equity.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why. And so how do we do that? It's pretty simple. Kyle touched on it a little earlier. So we have people around us that have chunks of money that are in a savings account at 0.2%, earning them zero nothing,
yeah,
basically.
0.00 nothing.
And so they're like, so they have a chunk of money and they say, well, what about this idea of me becoming the bank, of becoming a lender, right? And so the money comes from them and then is transferred to a property that we buy. And in exchange for that service, for the exchange of money, we give them a good return on their investment. And that's how we can do it. So with these private lenders, we're able to buy real estate and quickly, because a private lender, all they have to do is call their bank and say, transfer the money to this bank so that we can buy the real estate. They get all the paperwork, everything is legal, everything is signed, everything is recorded, okay? If you come across someone who wants to do this and do not want to record your money, it's a fraud, so run away, okay? It needs to be recorded. And
just maybe on that, because it's so important, it can be overlooked quickly. If someone asks you to send them money to do an investment, run away. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Mm-hmm. You always want to be dealing with a third party who handles money, and that's what they do. In Ohio, it's called title companies when it comes to real estate. So they're the third party company that the money gets sent to, so that it's unbiased, it's secured,
it's recorded,
it's recorded,
it's insured.
Everything is as it should be.
That's right.
Super, super important.
Yeah.
And I'll say it again, we wrote 2 ebooks on the topic, right? Mm-hmm. One of these ebooks goes through these details. So if you'd like to learn more, like just ask and you read through it. It's a quick read, but it's a vital read if this is something that is of interest to you, if you'd like to become the bank.
And honestly, okay, 2020 is going to be a great year, but it's going to be a great year, and years to come are going to be great only if you make a change. You can't expect to stay where you're at today, make no changes, but expect a future that is going to be different. That's just insanity. And so we're incredibly lucky to be in a position where we're in today. We went above and beyond because we have a dream. We have this insatiable appetite to do better, because we don't want to stay in that box that we were told was, grow up, get a job, go to school, get a job, get married, have kids, retire comfortably and then die. Basically, that did not appeal to us, and we figured there must be a better way. There's rich people out there. How did they do it? And so we decided to go after that, and we, above and beyond anything, we learned incredible amounts, and we surrounded ourselves with incredible mentors, with extremely wealthy mentors that taught us. And that's why we're in a position today, and we're humbled to say that we can help you do that too. And it's just, what goes around comes around, and that's our philosophy. And we're, again, coming from a place of the heart. We are able to take people's money and give them a 10% return on their money. How great is that? This is a win-win all around. We're able to keep growing and buying properties. We're able to help people that would otherwise be putting their money at a 0.2% in a savings account, and we can turn around and give them something something more. And we just feel extremely blessed to be able to do that and to be able to offer that. And if that is of interest to you, again, when we talked earlier about risk, let's just go back to a 10% return, for example. A lot of people think that's extremely risky. Well, if you were to invest, say, at a 10% on a property, know that your money is secured by that property. Okay, yes, the market can go up and can go down, but essentially your money is secured by the actual property. And that's something that you don't have in terms of security when we're talking about RSPs or GICs or IRA accounts. It's paper. Okay, so that's, at the end of the day, it's not risk. It's what's risky is not the percentage of interest rate. What's risky is the actual investor. It's when people don't know what they're doing. That's just it. And so today we're just blessed, and we're thankful to be able to offer that to people. We have lending opportunities. We're looking to buy a lot more real estate this year and the upcoming years. Guys, we grew a real estate portfolio very quickly because this is exactly what we do. And the more people we help, the more everybody benefits. And so that's how it works. The merry-go-round.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
That's how the cookie crumbles. All right, guys. So again, if you want to reach out to us, it's very easy. info@nowfortomorrow.club. That's our email address. If you want to go on our website, it's nowfortomorrow.club. Just reach out. Any questions, if we can support you in any way, if we can help you get on the right path in 2020, and really help you secure that financial future.
Yeah.
Let's just make it happen. We're humble people. We're young, we're driven. We want to help. and we're doing a great job at it. And so we, again, feel very blessed, and we would just want to help as many people as possible. This is a service that people need. So this is what we're offering. So just reach out. We're there. We'd love to talk to you. Anything, just reach out. If you want to talk to our financial coach, again, I'm more than happy to put you in contact with him and his team. And, you know, just do something. Do something that's different this year if you want different results.
Yeah. Final words for 2019. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Mm-hmm. So think about in your life, in your day-to-day, in your week, who do you spend the most time with? Who are those 5 people where you spend 80% of your time, maybe 90, 95% of your time? And think that you are the average of those 5 people. And if that's not an average, if that's not the type of person, or if those people are not going where you want to go or not achieving what you want, then maybe you'll want to spend more time with different people, people who are achieving their dreams and ultimately their goals, and if they align with yours. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're not surrounded right now, find people to surround yourself with.
They exist.
They exist. They certainly do.
All right. Well, from the bottom of our hearts, and on the last day of 2019, we wish you a very happy new year with all the success, the success in the world, with a lot of health, happiness, and love. And we hope that you learned something today and that you actually implement what we taught you, because again, you can't unlearn what you've learned. And so from Janie and Kyle's home, we wish you, again, a happy new year. Do now for tomorrow for the lifestyle you deserve. Bye, guys.
Cheers.